High on Life is a spacefaring tale of a human bounty hunter who must kill the leaders of an intergalactic cartel called G3, who are trying to capture humans to use them as drugs, and yeah, it's as weird as it sounds, which makes sense considering it's the latest game from Justin Roiland's studio Squanch Games. The twist this time is that your companions are these hilarious talking guns that make even the most menial of tasks entertaining.
So this is Blimp City. Not bad, huh? I don't know how we're gonna find Gene though. Let's just ask around. There's all kinds of aliens out here. Let's just ask. He is famous.
The game puts a lot into its writing and comedy, but does the actual game part hold up? If you like Justin Roiland's unique brand of comedy, then you will probably love High on Life, as it's in overdrive here. The interdimensional cable shows, characters that hurl constant abuse at you, and some extremely dark humour run rampant throughout the game, and I was laughing constantly. I was kept on my toes with some completely out of the blue encounters. At one point I was minding my own business until a group of construction workers started shouting at me, so I would typically walk away, but instead I shot them all. And my gun Kenny wasn't afraid to judge me for doing so.
Well, great, you killed all the weird construction guys. You know, we're free to move along now like we were before we killed them.
On top of that, there are plenty of fourth wall breaks or references to other games that kept me entertained. Of course, you are all Nintendo fans, so even Mario gets a mention.
Okay, you know what? It looks like some simple platforming, you know, like what you'd see in like Lucky's Tale on, you know, or you know, that one game that we all know and love, Mario Land or whatever.
I could stay here all day telling you about these little things I experienced, but it's best left for you to discover. The point is that there is so much care poured into these little interactions that you could completely miss if you ran through the game, not talking to random NPCs or hanging around to listen to different conversations. Conversely, if you're not a fan of the comedy in Rick and Morty, then you might find this game to be unbearable, such as how your guns, which are sentient beings, are chatterboxes, with each having a completely unique personality. Kenny is the most normal, if you can call him that, and is actually opposed to violence in most cases, whereas Knifey is a psychopathic knife that only wants to stab people.
He basically only talks about wanting to kill people in very disturbing ways.
You, I'm gonna carve out your anal cavity.
And they always have plenty to say, whether in combat or interacting with NPCs. There's even a ton of hidden dialogue which I especially appreciated, such as how you may not only miss out on dialogue when you simply just walk away from an NPC, but also how the guns react to what's going on around them. It even changes based on which gun you have equipped, so you could listen to the same conversation with a different weapon and get a completely different experience. I thought that the guns constantly droning on would eventually lose their luster, but after 10 hours I was never annoyed by their conversations. But this may not be the case for everyone. However, if it does annoy you, there is an option to change how frequently they speak, which is always nice to see. At its heart, High on Life is a first-person shooter with some light Metroidvania elements sprinkled in for good measure. The combat starts basic and isn't too engaging at first, especially in the opening hour where the enemy variety and AI aren't great, but it gradually picked up with each new weapon I unlocked, and I was reminded a bit of Ratchet & Clank, where the main focus of the game is inventive and fun weapons. Because they're simply bonkers, with a shotgun that sucks enemies in and also shoots disc blades that I could deflect back towards enemies with my knife, and then even the standard pistol also has a glob shot that launches enemies into the air. It was swapping from weapon to weapon, glob shotting one to throw them into the air, then changing to the shotgun to suck them in and destroy them, that just felt so good. There's a nice sense of momentum with it all as you unlock jetpacks, knee slides and a grappling hook. It doesn't feel as refined as some of the best kinetic first-person shooters, but it's certainly no slouch either. Outside of combat, the bulk of your time will be spent exploring a handful of large levels. But as with combat, it starts slow but gets more interesting as you increase your arsenal, like using the knife's grappling hook to zip up into the air, or using Gus's blades to attach to a wall so I could find a chest. I had a blast using these abilities to explore and find hidden chests or encountering fun optional conversations. While there are some Metroidvania elements like backtracking to previous areas with new abilities to find chests, the levels aren't interconnected and exploration isn't as important as it is in games in the Metroidvania genre. There's also a simple upgrade system behind all of this. As you take out the leaders of G3 and find chests, you earn pesos which can be used to buy upgrades such as improved jetpack duration or health, while others are mods that change weapons up. I equipped Kenny with a glob shot mod that made bullets ricochet off airborne targets. I don't have anything negative to say about this system. It served its purpose, but in sticking with the Ratchet & Clank vibe, I would have loved to see my weapons level up as I used them. At the end of the day, I was going into High on Life looking for something unique, and it delivered on that wonderfully. The writing was funny and engaging, and I loved how wacky and weird everything was. I wasn't expecting much from the gameplay as I was here more for the humour, but I was genuinely surprised at how expressive the combat system was and how nice movement felt in general when exploring the levels. Look, the writing won't be for everyone, and if you don't like it, then this game probably won't be for you. The characters chat back and forth constantly, and there's no way of escaping it if it's not your cup of tea. But for those who are fans of Justin Roiland's unique brand of comedy like myself, then you're in for a hilarious adventure that's backed up by a fun gameplay experience too. And that's why I liked it a lot. There we have a review for High on Life. I really appreciate your time. Check out that video on the right, and I'll see you all on the next video.